What do you think about the recent deplatforming of Richard Dawkins by the Northeast Conference on Science and Skepticism? Well, I haven't followed it very closely. I saw what they wrote. I saw Richard's response to what they wrote. Frankly, I think this is just an idiotic trend that always reflects badly on the organization doing the deplatforming. I mean, inevitably they're caving in to some political correctness or paranoia, and their behavior says virtually nothing about the person who's now being denied a platform. And to invite someone, especially someone of Richard's stature, and then disinvite him over a tweet is just ridiculous. Listen to the rationale used by the Northeast Conference on Science and Skepticism. The Northeast Conference on Science and Skepticism has withdrawn its invitation to Richard Dawkins to participate at NECSS 2016. That's their conference. We have taken this action in response to Dr. Dawkins' approving retweet of a highly offensive video. Now, this video was not highly offensive. It just wasn't good. If Richard is anything like me, I'm sure he's inundated with people urging him to retweet their YouTube video. There are secularists and atheists who are struggling to get noticed, who continually hurl things our way, and we often forward these things, and these videos are of varying quality. Now, I looked at the video that Richard forwarded there, and I wouldn't have forwarded it because I didn't think it was a good video, but I'm sure I have forwarded things that are every bit as poorly executed as that video was. The point of the video was to criticize the synergy that we've all noticed between feminism and Islamism. It's a very unhappy synergy where you have feminists who are not taking the side of women treated badly in the Muslim community, but taking the side of the thugs who would treat them badly. Back to this press release. We believe strongly in freedom of speech and freedom to express unpopular and even offensive views. However, unnecessarily divisive, counterproductive, and even hateful speech runs contrary to our mission and the environment we wish to foster. The sentiments expressed in the video do not represent the values of NECSS or its sponsoring organizations. Great. Score a victory for the paranoia engendered by social media here. Stephen Novella, the neurologist who was on the committee that made this decision, wrote a long justification of it online, which you can read. And I won't read that, but he revealed that inviting Richard was already quite controversial for this organization, and that they were essentially poised to disinvite him, even in the act of inviting him. And I think his mealy-mouthed defense of the deplatforming testifies to many of the problems in the atheist, secular community at the moment. But I'd like to read Richard's response to being disinvited, which he posted on his foundation's website. Statement by Richard Dawkins on NECSS. I woke this morning to see a public announcement that my invitation to speak at NECSS 2016 had been withdrawn by the executive committee. I do not write this out of concern about my appearance or non-appearance at NECSS, but I wish there had been a friendly conversation before such unilateral action was taken. It is possible I could have allayed the committee members' concerns, or if not, at least we could have talked through their objections to my tweet. If our community is about anything, it is that reasoned discussion is the best way to work through disagreements. I might mention that before receiving any word from NECSS, I had already deleted the tweet to which they objected. I did it purely because I was told that the video referenced a real woman who had been threatened on earlier occasions because of YouTube videos in which she appeared to her disadvantage. I have no knowledge of the authenticity of the alleged death and rape threats, but to delete my tweet seemed the safest and most humane course of action. I've always condemned violence and threats of violence, for example in this tweet, which I also posted the day before the NECSS decision. And in the tweet he says, please, please, please don't ever threaten anyone with violence. We should be free to use comedy/ridicule without fear it may inspire violence. I wish the NECSS every success at their conference. The science and skepticism community is too small and too important to let disagreements divide us and divert us from our mission of promoting a more critical and scientifically literate world. If ever there were a diplomatic response to being deplatformed without any discussion over a tweet, there it is. Honestly, I see no reason for Richard to have been that diplomatic. I certainly don't feel like being that diplomatic on his behalf. I just think these people are fools, and their treatment of Richard is shameful and embarrassing. And let this go down in the annals of douchebaggery as something not to do when you decide to have a conference that you hope intelligent people will attend. Everyone has to grow thicker skins, right? Universities and secular groups, and we just have to let people think out loud and do their best to make sense. And if their thoughts offend you, or if they forward the thoughts of others that offend you, well, then talk about it. I mean, it seems to me this is the effect that identity politics is having on our intellectual life, or one of its many effects. And it's, as you would predict, an unhealthy one.